travel with the governor here in Arizona, who's our head of state, and work with the press. We like to make ourselves very available and answer a lot of questions, but that's always like a fun task when you're on both sides of the coin. But since then, I started my own film production company. I went to film school, so I studied screenwriting, kind of fell in love with storytelling, writing stories, very similar to what journalists do, but kind of adding a little bit more lights and texture and, molding the way we want to tell a story rather than it being kind of more raw and factual. So I kind of studied how to write feature screenplays, how to write short stories, classic narrative structure. They kind of teach you everything from, how Aristotle broke down a story all the way to kind of how a modern movie's made and what they do in Hollywood. So today I help clients here in Arizona and elsewhere tell their story. So most of the time people like Kristen come to us and they say, hey, we have this idea, we have this story we want to tell. So for Global Ties it was, hey, we bring in these international delegations all the time, but how do we capture that? How do we figure out a way to explain to our donors, to our the general audience, the public here in Arizona, how do we kind of show what we do? So we brought in a delegation who was a tourism delegation, and we went out and filmed with them with some crew and cameras, and we asked them questions kind of similar to what we're going to do today. Tell us about your experience. Why are you here? What about this exchange is going to help you go back to your home country and learn and grow as a professional? Why is it important for exchange? Why is, and like we're going to talk about today, why is democracy important? What does that mean to you? And kind of start this conversation around international exchange, particularly here in Arizona, which is a very young state, relatively speaking, here in the U.S. I mean, we were one of the last states to become formed. We've only a little over 100 years old. So it's a place where, it's still trying to figure out its identity. It's still trying to figure out, what does it want to look like versus some of the more established places. Did you guys come straight into Phoenix, or did you go to DC, or where have you guys been? DC? Awesome.
DC, Tampa, Minneapolis.
Awesome.
Phoenix.
Yeah, so those are all kind of older, more established places. So I would say the media market here is young. It's growing. We've got 100,000 people every year that move from California and elsewhere. So it's a growing place. And as you'll learn from Randy, the owner of this studio, we do have a history of filmmaking in this state. We do have a history of people coming here and telling stories. I think in this studio used to be CBS or NBC used to own a studio here. So everyone from JFK to Muhammad Ali has come in here and done press hits. So it's kind of a cool place as far as journalism goes and holds some significance here.